Welcoming some new faces to the table. Let's call to order the April meeting of the Safety Committee. Safety announcement?
Your safety is of the foremost importance to the MTA. Therefore, we ask that you listen and adhere to the following instructions. If you witness an emergency, notify emergency personnel in the room and call 911 immediately. Please follow any audible instructions provided through the public address system or visually on screens in the event of an emergency. If an alarm sounds, wait for a public address announcement and follow instructions. If told to go to another floor or to evacuate the building, leave all unessential items behind and use stairwell A just across the main hallway or stairwell B down the hallway past the elevators. If you have a mobility disability or cannot self-evacuate, please proceed to stairwell D or E for assistance by MTA staff or emergency personnel. An automated external defibrillator, AED, for use by trained personnel is in the main hallway just past the elevators. If you need assistance during an evacuation, please tell an MTA staff member or emergency personnel. Thank you and have a safe day.
Mr. Chen, public comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. We have 11 members of the public registered to speak today. We ask that all public speakers adhere to MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. We would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Christopher Greif, followed by Ian Matthews.
Good morning. Oh, there we go. Good morning. I'm Christopher D. Greif. Hope everyone's doing well. As we discuss safety to our public transportation, not just on the railroads, the subways, buses, but you know what? It's like saying, if you see something, you say something. And what I see a lot is MTA does do their job with the working with the NYPD and the MTA police. Chief, we thank you so much working with this time. And I say chiefs because there are two. And one thing I just want to be very clear that we have a lot of people out there that are the homeless who have maybe mental illness. What we need to see is the Department of Homeless to come out more and really work on the lower part of Manhattan and going up to Harlem 125th Street and the Lex line, because it's not safe for them. They can actually hurt themselves. They're not sometimes, it's really complicated if I say a lot. But the bottom line is we have to work a little more to help them out, because they shouldn't be sleeping on subway cars. Yes, I do put them into the app because I put so many in, it can blow up. But again, we have to work together. Putting the MTA down does not solve it. We have to work together to help these homeless. They have a disability and they need the help. As a fellow disability, we need to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ian Matthews, followed by Jason Anthony.
All right, good morning. My name is Ian Matthews, and I want to address some suggestions about safety on both trains and in the stations. We need like a warning alarm system on trains if there's a person trying to break into a train that's stored in a tunnel. And the train crew doors also need to be changed because there's been a lot of kids breaking into trains where you need like an MTA ID to scan in to go in. There also needs to be a warning alarm system if there's a person on top of a train, because the warmer weather's coming and this is going to be happening a lot more. Also, we need more police patrols at the Bedford Park B&D station, the north entrance, because the drug dealers are still there. They were there this morning holding open the gate, no police around, and I'm really getting tired of it. Almost every station on the B&D line where there's no customer service agent this happens at every station in the Bronx, and something needs to be done about it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Good morning, General, and good morning to the rest of the board members and members of the Safety Committee. Jason Anthony, the Transit Girl. Today, I'm supposed to be working at the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Staten Island, but instead, I'm here because I'm so fed up as a native New Yorker that as of today will be my 10th year being back in New York. What Ian Matthews is saying is absolutely correct. Let's add one other station along the Concourse line, Fulham Road. I've been at Fulham Road, let's say these past few weeks, on the Fulham Road and Grand Concourse entrance. It's a free-for-all. No police presence from Transit District 11. Something has to be done because Sean Patrick Duffy and our mayor, Eric Leroy Adams, they just doing lip service but no action. We know that our beloved Chairman CEO Janet Lieber, along with Michael Kemper, are doing the best that they can. But we cannot be seeing more lip service from the two gentlemen that I just mentioned. There has to be action. Because I'm tired of logging in so many complaints since 2018. There has to be action. But Jano called me in to help you to do more.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Bruce Hang.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president and founder of Passengers United. So unfortunately, on April 18th, there was a LIR crash and people were stuck on the train for 4 hours. And they were not given shuttle bus service. It was a very dangerous situation. MT needs to look at evacuating people faster in these situations instead of keeping them on a train for 4 hours. Now let's talk about the Queens Village LIRR station. A person was found dead in the station. There are reports that the person may have been murdered. It may have been a drug overdose. We don't know. But I will say this. The MT Police Department needs to have hourly patrols at that station. Somebody needs to go in there and the cops need to go through the whole station searching to see, because we have individuals hanging out there. It's unacceptable. And the other note I want to make about the conductors' cabins, the young kids being able to go through the tunnels and stuff, that is a big issue. At Parsons Boulevard and Hillside, the lights are broken at the end of the station over there. It's been that way for a while. The station is, anyone can go in there and get access to the subway cars, and that has to be addressed. So what the safety task force needs to do is they need to come with us, the real advocates, tour the subway system to see what's going on at night. So I invite all of you on the safety committee to do an overnight subway tour with us at Passengers United to see what's going on. I welcome the MT Police Chief as well as NYPD. You're welcome to join us. And yes, we did write a letter to Secretary Sean Duffy requesting a meeting with them on subway safety, because the advocates that are out there, we need to be heard because the MT is not listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Bruce Hang, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning. You have a nice turnout for safety. This is the first safety meeting I've been spoken before. I wanted to bring up that accident that the last guy just did because I'm always trying to grind my axe, and it seems to me that rather than all the, well, it's too late now. You have all these diesels and you have the more expensive ones that are dual mode. And, but the reason for all this and the great big construction in Morris Park to service them, and I don't even know, maybe they have to go to Harmon. But dual mode locomotives, electric trains can't run on grade crossings. And when you have an accident like this at 80 miles an hour with a fireball that envelops the whole first car, and you know, there's something else. The Suffolk County Police say that there are have been 20 accidents since or 60 trespassing accidents since 2020, and that's less, 2025. So it comes out to about 15 fatalities a year. That's a lot, just in Suffolk. So I think something needs to be done about that. But part of the thing that you can deal with is getting rid of the grade crossings and electrifying, because it's more energy efficient. Isn't that what we're all about? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Jack Connors.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair General Lieber and members. Alita Dupree for the record, Sheen Irwin Falls. It's good to be back with you. I reflect on my month in New York, and I really enjoyed seeing you all at the meetings and hope to do that again soon. There's a lot in this report. I'm going to focus on the basics and share some I statements. I use the subway a lot, and I used it at night. And I have generally felt safe on the subway, though a couple of times I did see some people getting into it. It dissipated pretty fast, but that is still concerning. I have to practice situational awareness and know where the exits are so I can remove myself to a safe space because it's constrained being in a subway car or a bus or on a platform. I have to know where the pillars on the platforms are and stand back from the edge of the platform. And I would like to see us finish those yellow strips with all little dots on them so that we can feel the edge of the platform if need be. That's very important. And if we're practicing money handling, when we empty vending machines, I move clear of that. When you have money and you have an armed guard, that could be an accident to happen. So we want us, the public, to collectively use Omni as much as we can, so we're not putting so much cash in the system. And lastly, while you all and this system practice very good welcoming and messaging in that, how do we make sure that we don't have bias when it comes to our security personnel? As big as we are, some people don't know what to do with me. But I thank you for continuing the work. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Jack Connors, followed by David Kupferberg.
Good morning. I'm Jack Connors, Research and Communications Associate at the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee, PCAC. Despite Secretary Duffy's dramatics, we're thrilled to see that crime across the MTA system is down. Crime on subways and buses was down 9% month over month in February and 16% compared to last year. The LIRR and Metro North also saw continued reductions in crime. Violence against employees is down too, 14%, although one assault is one too many. The data tells a clear story. The governor's investment in cameras on every train car is paying dividends, as is her commitment to a cop on every overnight train, with patrols up 22.3%. If Secretary Duffy wants transparency, he need only look at today's committee book, though perhaps another picture book from Governor Hochul would be more appropriate. One area of concern is fare evasion arrests and summonses, which are up 100% and 43% respectively. We're seeing similar upticks on the railroads. While enforcement is an integral part of the equation when it comes to tackling fare evasion, and it's good to see that moving in the right direction, we cannot be assured that fare evasion is not a crime of poverty until fair fares is expanded to 200% of the federal poverty level. Let's also expand it to the LIRR and Metro North within New York City to ensure riders can access the most convenient transit option available to them at an affordable price. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Cooperberg, followed by Maddie Bucky's Highland.
Hi, my name is David Kupferberg. There is only one transit advocacy group in New York City that is serious about safety and tackling non-sexual criminal recidivism on subway buses and in the subway, Passengers United. I am proud to be a member and an ardent supporter. If this committee is serious about safety and tackling criminal recidivism on buses and in the subway, you should also be ardent supporters of Passengers United. I think that non-sexual criminal recidivism should be tackled by the MTA and New York State lawmakers in a similar manner with 3 levels. The people of the state of New York deserve such forward thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Maddie Bucky's Highland, followed by Murray Bolden.
Thank you, Henry, and good morning, everybody. My name is Matty Bucky's Highland. Happy Autism Awareness Month, everybody. For today's topic, I want to talk about safety. Safety is a top of mind for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. As you know, we have 3 police boroughs: the Triborough Bridge Tunnel Authority, the New York City Police Department, and the MTA Police Department, which handles stuff outside of New York City. Safety, well, we're seeing crime go up and down as a roller coaster. It's important to realize that we have to do more for funding. I'm a law and order type of guy. My father used to work as an NYPD officer, and it's important to realize that public safety is a top priority of mine. If I watch a lot of Law and Order, and my favorite detective, Lenny Briscoe, played by the late Jerry Orbach, touches my heart. It's important to realize that police, judges, and our elected officials work together to create a more safe and inclusive environment for the MTA. In fact, Assemblyman Blumenkranz introduced a bill to make the MTA more safer again, and I agree with his legislation. With that, everybody, please have a great day and have a great Memorial Day. I hope to speak Wednesday. God bless you all. Thank you. Henry?
Thank you. Our next speaker is Murray Bolden.
Good morning. We live in a different world than we did a year ago. Today's meetings indicate that the MTA is thinking about doing things differently. The rest of the meetings will be at one time. The problems we have today are 2, basically: distracted drivers and aggressive drivers. You all have a record of my suggestions on that point. This is the world of 2025. You can't do things the way we did them years ago. Things like train horns and railroad crossings and road markings. Issues that were designed for a world of 50 years ago are working today. Just to see the changes in today's meetings is important. Is it the best way to do it? Don't know. But if you don't try changing things, you're going to wind up with the same problems you've had years ago. Think about it. What kind of a world are we going to leave to our grandchildren? It's going to be a little difficult because the resources that we had in the past are not available to us now. Think about how you personally have to change to accept the world that's here today. It's certainly not the world that we were used to. I want to thank all those people who have helped me understand what's going on and what needs to be done for the future. Could not have done without your help. And I wish you the best because it's going to be a difficult year. Good luck.
Thank you all for your comments. Chair, that concludes our public speakers for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. The minutes. We've distributed the minutes for the February 2025 Safety Committee meeting. Are there any comments or changes? Hearing none. We'll have to hold off until Mr. Mack returns for a quorum. While we're waiting for that, Mr. Heyman, are there any changes to the work plan?
No changes to the work plan, Chair.
All right. Well, in that case, would you report on safety and security metrics, please?
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chair, and good morning. Our metrics begin on page 8. We have a full agenda today, so I'll be brief. I'm happy to report that overall, safety metrics across the operating agencies continue an encouraging downward trend. I would like to note that with the continued hard work and commitment to safety by all of the agencies, there has been impressive reductions in many of our safety metrics, including employee lost time and customer accidents, track fires, and vehicle collisions on our bridges and in our tunnels. The police chiefs will brief you on their reports a little later in this meeting. And please note that the Bridges and Tunnels Safety presentation is included in the committee book. Chair, this ends the report.
Yeah, I would urge everybody to look at the Bridges and Tunnels Safety meeting. They're doing what we all want, which is to reduce collisions and to reduce customer injuries on our bridges and other MTA facilities. That is good news. We're going to hear from the police chiefs in a moment. First, Chief Kemper, would you report on the camera program? That's been a major initiative. It's a major safety initiative with strong support from Governor Hochul. Go ahead, Chief.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, board members, MTA leadership. Good morning to everyone in the room. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I'm Michael Kemper. I'm the Chief Security Officer for the MTA, and this morning I'm going to take this opportunity to brief you on the MTA's video camera program. Video cameras in our subway system, on our buses, bridges and tunnels, trains, and at our facilities serve several important purposes, and they offer tremendous value for safety, security, and service. For starters, they are used to deter crime, and they are used to help identify and apprehend people who commit crimes. I cannot overstate the value they offer investigators and prosecutors when a need arises, and my colleague, Katie Falaska, will speak to this in her presentation that follows mine. Cameras provide intelligence, support strategic planning, internal investigations, vulnerability reduction, and service and operations planning. Cameras enable, often in real time, responses to incidents, providing situational awareness, offering the agency and our law enforcement partners the ability to perceive and understand what is happening to inform the appropriate type of level of response. Our camera system also instills public confidence, offering reassurance to our customers and workers, making them feel safer, and ultimately providing them with a more comfortable and positive experience. So, how many cameras do we have? A lot. Currently, the MTA's video camera inventory consists of over 135,000 cameras strategically deployed throughout its network. This represents a 13% increase, or an additional 17,000 cameras since our last report just over a year ago in February of 2024. The installation and increase in video camera deployment touches all operating agencies, including New York City Transit, Metro North Railroad, Long Island Railroad, and our bridges and tunnels. As detailed on this slide, New York City Transit's inventory consists of over 100,000 cameras, which are installed and operational on our buses, trains, stations, and facilities. The Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroad's network consists of over 33,000 cameras combined, with all train cars in each of their fleets equipped with cameras. Our bridges and tunnels have over 2,000 cameras throughout its network of 7 bridges, 2 tunnels, as well as their facilities. We have covert and overt cameras on a wide range of assets, including trains, platforms, mezzanines, buses, tunnels, bridges, yards, and shops, amongst many other areas. Our team is constantly looking for voids and vulnerabilities and works hard to correct them. Our camera program is literally expanding and advancing by the day, and we have been vocal and transparent regarding its existence. We have also been vocal about accomplishing certain goals with them. And one goal in particular, to install video cameras in every New York City Transit subway car, was a vision and challenge presented by Governor Hochul and Chairman Lieber in early of 2024 with the full support of Demetrius Critchlow, President of New York City Transit. Recognizing its value and importance, our MTA workforce immediately met this challenge head-on. And just a few months ago, in December to be exact, the MTA and New York City Transit were able to announce that all subway cars are now outfitted with video cameras. Again, 100% of all subway cars in the New York City Transit fleet are now outfitted with video cameras. This was a significant accomplishment for many reasons, and when considering the size of the subway fleet, over 6,700 subway cars, recognition and thanks must be again given to my team at Headquarters Security, the team at New York City Car Equipment, and others for making this goal a reality. These cameras have already proven themselves to be a successful and worthy investment. We are adding cameras across the system, including recent upgrades at 12 Metro North stations. We are also exploring use of cameras for predictive prevention, studying and piloting technology like AI to sense potential trouble or problematic behavior on our subway platforms. With advancements in technology and with the support of our partners in IT, we can share video internally and externally and with our law enforcement partners, including the NYPD, as we work to secure our transportation system. So, how do these cameras assist us? What is their benefit? Well, as I briefly stated earlier, they assist us in so many ways, and they hold so much value for our transportation operations. But let me describe how critical they are for advancing public safety. First, cameras act as a deterrent to anyone thinking of committing a crime. Before cameras, some would think they can get away with anything. Now, people are aware that we have eyes everywhere, and if they were smart, they'd think twice before even thinking of doing anything wrong. They hold tremendous investigative value to investigators or detectives and to prosecutors, judges, and jury members by identifying suspects and capturing crimes on video. They offer us answers to questions, letting us know what exactly occurred. They offer MTA leadership and our law enforcement partners real-time situational awareness on current events, planned and unplanned, including weather emergencies, protest conditions, crowd conditions, vehicular collision effects, and so on. They assist in instilling public confidence, offering our customers and workers a sense of security, and I can go on and on. Their use and their value are boundless. There's a reason we are investing in new modern cameras across the system. What you are looking at on this slide are real-life examples of images created from the cameras we have deployed across our system. The quality of images they produce is critically important to those who depend on them, and they are desired by law enforcement and prosecutors. We've come a long way over the past few decades in relation to video camera technology. When I joined the NYPD in 1991, video cameras were limited, non-existent to a degree. Now, video cameras are commonplace. Law enforcement, and the NYPD in particular, has adapted to these technological advancements. They embrace modern technology. So much of what they do depends on it, relying upon it, and using it 24/7, 365. My last role in the NYPD was as their chief of transit. It was in that role that I saw how fast, valuable, and effective the MTA camera system is. And I can't say this enough. The access the MTA grants the NYPD holds tremendous value. I can say this with confidence and personal knowledge. Law enforcement respects and uses our camera system all the time, assisting them in so much of what they do, from fighting crime, locating subway surfers, determining proper deployments, or whether just proactively monitoring the system in real time, these cameras are proven assets that pay dividends, demonstrating their effectiveness regularly. Last slide. So looking forward, our plan to expand and advance the MTA's camera system is already in progress. The safety and well-being of our customers and workforce is our top priority. And when speaking of workforce safety, the plan to equip all New York City Transit subway conductor cabs with video cameras is underway. With the new R211 trains coming with conductor cab cameras, this means over 500 cameras are already monitoring conductor cabs, and the goal is to expand these cameras into the entire fleet. Our commitment to maintaining a state of good repair includes our camera system. We will continue to life cycle replacements of cameras, upgrading them when necessary, increasing their coverage and functionality, site assessments to identify enclosed voids, and to ensure optimal coverage is constantly ongoing. We are working in partnership with technology companies to explore predictive tools, AI, and other interventions to enable us to target resources and act in real time, and we will continue to explore wider applications across the system. And we are currently exploring available modern technologies to expand and maximize the output and capabilities of our camera system. For example, Metro North will see an expansion of camera coverage at 7 stations beginning this year. We will continue to grow and expand our camera system across all agencies, with customer and employee safety being top of mind. I will now pass it over to my colleague, Katie Falaska, for her presentation. Thank you.
And let me just add, number one, thank you, Chief. Thank you to the safety operation for accelerating so dramatically the installation of cameras throughout the system, but a special shout out to Demetrius and the team at Transit for getting all of the subway cars, the entire fleet retrofitted so that we would get it all done in a single year. That was an amazing accomplishment. I'm just transitioning to Katie Falaska. So cameras all about both, as the chief said, deterrence, but also the investigation. Katie Falaska is the person, a new role at MTA that works with judges and prosecutors to make sure that we bring cases, that they're properly charged, that the handling through the adjudication process and ultimately the sentencing process is consistent with our goals to make sure our riders feel that the justice system is supporting safety. And I can't tell you how important Katie's role has been since she arrived here less than a year ago. Probably 8 months, right? So with that, let me turn over to Katie, and we'll come back to you, Mr. Albert, for comments a little after her presentation. Katie.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. I know my role has been discussed at some previous meetings before this, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the background and the purpose of this position. This was first announced in March of 2024 as part of Governor Hochul's 5-point plan to protect New Yorkers on the subway. The 2 main directives were to improve coordination between law enforcement and district attorneys and to assist and advocate for victims of crime in our systems. The MTA had to ensure that they had a voice, that they had an advocate for the interests of its riders and its employees. I had the privilege of joining the MTA approximately 8 months ago, and since then my office has focused on increasing victim safety and offender accountability by working with law enforcement, with transit personnel, and prosecutorial agencies to promote a multidisciplinary, multi-agency collaboration to support crime victims and prevent future recidivism. We've worked to formalize our position in the criminal justice world, and we want the message to be clear. When criminals target our transit system, they threaten the safety of all New Yorkers. If you commit a crime in the transit system, it is serious, it is not a revolving door, and you will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. My 2 prior roles have prepared me for this position. I was a prosecutor in the Bronx for 10 years, and I spent 4 years as an attorney at the New York City Police Department. Unknowingly, I've been preparing for this role my entire life. I've never owned a car, and my family, like millions of others, have relied exclusively on public transit. I start my day the same way my grandmother did 75 years ago, by taking the subway from Brooklyn to Manhattan for work. It meant freedom and opportunity for her, just as it does for me and millions of others, and it's a privilege to be the first to hold this important role. Historically, we've looked at arrest numbers, but not necessarily what results in those cases. My office started by doing a deep dive into transit crime prosecution to garner a deeper understanding of how we could help and opportunities for the MTA to intervene and offer our assistance. We met with operating agency presidents, safety and security departments, general counsel, labor relations, union representatives, crime victims, police departments, and prosecutors throughout the state of New York and Connecticut. We reached out to everyone and said, we are here to help. Where are the problems? What can we do better? What do you need from us? How can we improve things? We really wanted to focus on collaborative efforts, not just to combat crime, but to see that those cases were resolved meaningfully and help witnesses through the process. We gathered a lot of information. We looked at many different types of criminal cases, and not just those coming from NYPD Transit Bureau. As you can see from this map, there are many layers of governance to reach out and speak to. We wanted to look at crimes on buses. We wanted to look at crimes on the Long Island Railroad, crimes occurring in our bridges and tunnels on the Metro North. We spoke to representatives from the 5 DA's offices in New York City, but of course we spoke to DAs from Connecticut, local DA's offices, representatives from towns and village municipalities. It was important to get a holistic view of what was happening with these cases and to work internally to create tools to help identify where there were weaknesses, because when we could identify where there were weaknesses, we could start to implement solutions. The overarching issue that was identified was a lack of communication between the MTA, law enforcement agencies, and prosecutorial agencies. To address this, I like to think of my office as the translator. We speak prosecutor, we speak law enforcement, and I want to thank everyone here who's given us a small glimpse into all of the work and responsibilities and helped us learn the lingo of the MTA. First, we wanted to make sure that our office was a point of contact for anyone dealing with a criminal prosecution. It was clear that prosecutors and others weren't always sure who to contact when they needed information. They were sending FOIL requests. They were reaching out to the MTA Inspector General. Sometimes requests were being duplicated, which slowed things down, all because of a lack of clarity. My office makes sure that we are a window into the MTA so that law enforcement and prosecutors have no excuses. If they need a witness, if they need a video, if they need information, they can call us. Even identifying seemingly granular issues was important. We noticed that there was an issue regarding video on buses. We are historically wonderful partners with NYPD Transit Bureau, and they are very familiar with how to get video when needed. Bus cases, which are handled by either the local precinct or detective squad where the crime occurred, we're not as familiar with that. So we noticed that we were seeing a lot of subpoenas from district attorneys' offices for video. So one example was the case of Rashawn Rowe, where a district attorney needed a video to present the case to the grand jury. We were able to get it to them within a 48-hour period, and that person was indicted and is now charged with felony assault for assault of a bus driver after a collision that occurred on Fordham Road. Seemingly, working with legal and MTAPD and our safety and security teams, we created a guide for requesting evidentiary items from the MTA. This laid out the different types of evidence available, whether it's video, documents, information on employees who might be witnesses, who to contact, and how to follow up with them. The methods required to obtain the information, what required a subpoena, what could just be a phone call, what could just be an email. This document has been distributed to all the prosecutors we work with, as well as the law department who deals with juvenile cases. This document is continuously being updated as we look at our internal processes and hope to streamline and expedite the way we provide this information to different law enforcement agencies and prosecutorial agencies. The second issue that we realized arose was that we weren't talking to each other early enough. Early input and information sharing from partners ensures better collaboration for successful investigations and prosecutions. We want to make sure that everyone has the most accurate, timely, and holistic information possible on the offender and the offense so that everyone can be fully informed when it comes to all decisions, whether it's charging all the way through sentencing recommendations. Prior to the creation of this office, there was not the regular interagency communication as early as there is now. And while certainly this is about building stronger relationships, the benefits of this are highlighted in two cases. The first is the case of Jonathan Davalos, the stabbing of a transit conductor from October at the Utica Avenue station, as well as Abdul Little, the stabbing that occurred in Grand Central in January. Thanks to early communication and coordination between the NYPD and Brooklyn DA's office and the MTA in terms of Jonathan Davalos, and the MTA PD, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, in terms of Abdul Little, both of these individuals now have been indicted by the grand jury for attempted murder. The third issue that arose was that we need to be speaking to new partners. We wanted to formalize our position in the criminal justice world, and we realized there were a lot of partners that we were not speaking with. For example, the Office of Special Narcotics. We have an open dialogue, and we're able to identify concerns before they escalate, what challenges do we anticipate, and address them beforehand, which has been an invaluable tool. Supporting employee survivors is a top priority for my office. Crimes that occur against MTA employees do not occur at random. They do not occur by accident. These are crimes that intentionally target people because of the uniform they wear, because of the work they do, and we remain steadfast in our commitment to employee safety and seeing that these cases are responded to swiftly and aggressively. Speaking with police and testifying in court is not like it appears on Law & Order. It can be nerve-wracking, and the more supported a survivor feels, the better it is for the investigation and for the subsequent prosecution, which is why, in addition to working with law enforcement and prosecutors on strengthening cases, we've worked on crime prevention strategies. Additionally, the MTA has a lot of programs in place to support its employees, but we've worked to expand on those resources. Since I've begun, I've attended over 100 court appearances and wish my office could attend more. It is a privilege to sit there with the survivor as they wait for their case to be called and talk with them and explain it and hopefully bring them some comfort. It's also a privilege to be the only person from the MTA there in attendance to show our support when no one else can, when the survivor can't, just to be there and have that boots on the ground support. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. We've also worked on our internal processes to help our employee survivors. For example, a survivor may need documentation of their crime for any number of reasons, and we've worked to change the process and make it easier for survivors to obtain copies of their own complaint report to make sure that it's more accessible and user-friendly for when they need it. Looking forward, we will continue to focus on advocating for our riders and transit workers through ongoing projects related to survivor support and employees, continuing to work with all players and be plugged into ongoing criminal justice work and initiatives. We've worked with the Office of Court Administration to be notified when any transit ban is issued, which we were not notified of that previously. The MTA PD and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office have recently worked together and were successfully able to petition a judge to grant, as part of sentencing in sexual harassment cases, 2 more transit bans. The NYPD has worked with the MTA PD to ensure that spots are given in special victims training, and that MTA PD and NYPD are working together in HIDA's Gun Violence Strategies Partnership meetings, which are daily meetings that occur to prevent gun violence in New York City. We look forward to continuing to work with law enforcement and prosecutors to enhance cases at the earliest stages possible and work on crime reduction strategies. And I would like to thank Governor Hochul, and thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the board for giving me this opportunity to speak about the important work our office does.
Okay. Opening it up for questions or comments for Katie. Just one thing I would add is that when people are talking about the discovery law debate that's going on in Albany, we all have heard about it because it's held up the budget, or it's one of the things that's held up the budget. Katie's work highlights the importance of that issue, because the question of whether a charge will stick frequently hinges on whether there is we're able to assemble the evidence and get it to the prosecutor timely enough, that there's enough, that we're thorough enough, and that all that evidence supports whatever the maximum or the more serious charge in many cases. And by flip side is, in many cases, small technicalities like, oh, you didn't get the name of the MTA employee who was at the token booth upstairs when the crime took place on the platform, have been used as technicalities to get cases thrown out. So the issue of discovery and what evidence is needed in order to support charges and make them stick is something that we're actually experiencing, and that's why we support so much the governor's strong proposal on that issue. So with that little rant, I offer Mr. Albert finally the chance to ask his question.
Thank you. Chief, thank you for your presentation, and obviously Ms. Velasco. But on the issue of the cameras, I think that it is amazingly great. When you see a perp caught and they're on the news, you can see the high definition that the cameras have held up, so it's easy to identify them. However, I am also reminded of the horrific event at the 36th Street DNR station in Sunset Park a few years ago, where a whole bank of cameras was out. Fortunately, we caught him and another, Frank James, at another station, and his picture was circulated and he was caught. But have we changed the system by which, if there's a problem with the camera system, we are notified about it in advance before it actually totally goes out, so we can make the necessary repairs so that we don't lose a whole bank of cameras like we did at 36th Street?
Yeah, so what I can speak of, and then if someone else wants to jump in, feel free, but we do have a preventive maintenance schedule or cadence across all our operational agencies, New York City Transit, Metro North, and the national industry standard we exceed, which is over 95%. We're closer to 99% serviceable. And like I said, there is a regular cadence, 60 days in New York City Transit for them to check their, update their camera system, 72 days on the train cars. And this doesn't include the regular monitoring in real time of these cameras. Every time there's a video request, for instance, I'll give you an example on a train, that entire train car is checked. So there are real preventive maintenance schedules in place right now to ensure our camera system is operating. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I mean, 99% is the percentage, and that's important. And I just remind us that that particular episode, which you referred back to, was there had been a problem identified with the cameras, and technicians were working to fix it. They had not been able to address the problem. I mean, that is a technical reality. It was not out of neglect. Okay, so please bear that in mind. Mr. Gorodnik and then Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, just one question about the cameras as it relates to AI. You noted that there's some opportunities for the predictive values of AI in the context of cameras. Can you give some examples as to what that might look like, how AI might be used to anticipate problems before they happen?
So let me say this, AI is the future. It is. We're there, and we're constantly exploring all current, modern technology and leveraging it to keep our riders safe. Some examples that we're exploring right now, I briefly mentioned in my remarks, is identifying certain behavior on platforms. So I'll give you an example. If someone is acting out, irrational, it could potentially, and again, this is what we're exploring, it could potentially trigger an alert that would trigger a response from either security and or the police department beforehand, like proactively, before waiting for something to happen. So that's just one example of a few that we're working with tech companies literally right now and seeing what's out there right now on the market, what's feasible, what would work in the subway system, and this will continue. We'll certainly have more to say, in the future on that.
Mr. Mack.
Okay, very important deterrent is signage, that you're on camera. Smile.
Okay. Alan Funt is in the house. Mr. Albert, we're one last question, but I'm just rushing us along because we
Sure.
are scheduled constrained. Go ahead.
Chief, are the cameras monitored in real time?
Quick answer to that: some, yes. Particularly in the New York City subway system, I actually have. The beauty of the real time is the people that have access to it. Again, I mentioned in my remarks, when I was the chief of transit, we had a operations center, and we had real time capabilities of monitoring the subway system. It's used 24 hours a day. I know the chief over there could speak on that, but probably upwards of about 35 to 40% of the network of cameras in the subway system, like in the stations, are viewed in real time. That said, if something were to occur, the access that we have and our law enforcement partners have is immediate, even if it isn't in real time. And when I say immediate, I'm talking about, depending on the request, minutes to a few hours.
Okay. Well, with that, Mr. Valenti, your maiden voyage. Welcome.
Hey, good morning. It's my first board meeting, so I wasn't trained on board etiquette yet, but I just wanted to make a quick comment on Katie's new position. Very thankful for Katie's new position and Katie herself. I've reached out to her numerous times about various cases. She also talked to a conductor class going over the different crimes and what's a crime and what's not. Very helpful since she's been on board. So we just want to say, on the union side, worker safety side, we appreciate Katie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, welcome to Mr. Leathers and Mr. Valenti as the new labor members of our board. Okay, we're going to hear from some stats now from our friends at the NYPD, and then the newly minted Chief of Police of the MTA Mr. Taffy. Mr. O'Sullivan. Chief O'Sullivan.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, President, Chief Kemper, members of the board, everyone in the room. We have the stats in front of you. Crime figures for the first quarter of 2025. In the month of March, the subway system saw 174 crimes, reflecting of a 2.2% reduction compared to the previous month of March. And then we were looking at the first quarter, we saw an 18% reduction in crime, which total amount over 100 fewer victims compared to the same period of last year. Reduction in crime during the first quarter was largely driven to the decreases of robberies, which were down 24.8%, and grand larcenies, which are down 22%. These crimes greatly impacted our riders' perception of public safety, and the safety of those who depend on the transit system will continue and be our top priority. I'm proud of the continued downward trend of crime within the subway system, and the men and women of the transit and NYPD that are working each and every day to keep our subway system safe. And all our officers are dialed in daily and updated of current robberies and people that are wanted and crimes, etc. So I'll be brief, and that concludes my remarks for today, and I'll take any comments or questions that you may have.
Any questions for Chief O'Sullivan? Ms. Mahaltis.
Morning, Chief, and thank you, Katie, for that wonderful presentation. Wish you the best of luck. Chief, so glad to hear crime is down. Friday, we had that incident at City Hall that happened, at 8:30 in the morning, which was a little troubling. I didn't know if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I was there. I saw the chairman there, and it was a hectic. It was a difficult time of day to have any incident inside the subway system of that nature is we don't want to see. At the same time, the timing of that incident was more problematic. However, it was so great to see the initial response of the police department was swift, helped the victim and helped issue life-saving measures and their best. They try to and get medical attention to that victim quickly. In addition to that, the coordination between the NYPD and the members of the MTA was swift. They were there right away, and we spoke jointly on how to get the challenges of maintaining a crime scene while at the same time getting the subway ridership past that station and to where they had to go. So again, initially it was hectic. The response was quick, and most importantly, the investigation was thorough and swift. Our investigators in the Detective Bureau and members of the Transit Bureau worked side by side, and the investigation was very productive in a short period of time, and positive. So we know what happened, we understand who did it, and now I am very confident there will be an arrest very quickly, in addition to prosecution.
Hey, just to highlight the points that Chief Kemper's presentation made, we had video from 2 cameras inside the subway car, then we had platform video, then we had turnstile videos. So there were 3 to 5 separate camera that picked up first the incident, but then the assailant. So that from that standpoint, we've obviously very pleased with what the
To the
police
chairman's
were able to do.
point, that video with inside the car and the platform, in addition to the surrounding area, is crucial to presenting an investigation, putting it together, and identifying a suspect and presenting it to the grand jury. So I'm just as you said, and in the past, I mean, just to say currently, that was swift video that we received and provided to our investigators and was given to the to the district attorney.
And do the patrons on the train, do they, when you question them, are they, willing to give you information? Because yes and no, right? My thought is, with the fact that we should, if you see something, say something, just to kind of like tell everyone that we're all in this together, right? We
Right.
have great coordination on the MTA, the NYPD, the city level, the state level. It's just, but help us solve the crime is
Well,
almost
I
the
think
message we want to
this-
send.
The message is public safety is a shared responsibility. We had our investigators were able to speak with cooperating witnesses, and it assisted in the investigation.
You know, I'm going to speak from experience, and then I'm going to tip something off. Just a few months back, we would get to a scene in a transit system, and it was chaotic, and you're just trying to figure out, like, what happened, which is really, really critically important to start your investigation. In this situation, and what these cameras offer is answers. What happened? These cameras captured what happened, and we had these images, and we had the video in hand right after the incident, which allowed investigators to answer that question, and then how are they going to move forward? Who are they looking for? And that's what Chief O'Sullivan is saying right now. That subway car in particular was crowded, as you can imagine. We often say, I used to say in the NYPD, everyone uses the subway system. It's really, indicative of the city. And there was law enforcement off duty on that train. There were Wall Street employees on that train. There were a lot of people on that train that spoke to investigators, and that investigation is active. Without going in to the investigation, it's active. But I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it would be important.
Unless there's something else, Mr. Brinkman.
Yes. Do we have a press packet or something that goes out? Because personally, I'm just getting tired of hearing all this from Secretary Duffy about how unsafe our system is. And yet the testimony here is we're bending over backwards to make our system as safe as possible. Apparently, they're not getting the message. And I'm sure there are certain people in the public who aren't getting that message either, because they seem to be subscribing to the fact that, we have an unsafe system. And it's quite the contrary.
It's a challenge. I mean, some of this is, no secret, we're in a political world. Some of this is politics. But, and listen, we responded to Secretary Duffy, a 20-page response going into all the details of the safety program of the MTA and the relevant statistics. Contrary to some of the stuff that's thrown around, the MTA is among the very, on a per capita basis, is among the very safest transit systems in the United States. You are like, 9 times more likely to be the victim of a felony crime in, the Houston or Minneapolis or Dallas system. I think it's, 8 times more in the Chicago system. We're not putting anyone down, but you have to look at the stats, and by those standards, New York is very safe. We have made that point again and again. We have talked about the way that crime under the leadership of this police department and this commissioner has been reduced, and the tremendous work. Chief Kemper started a lot of it, and he's continued it here. So we talk about all that stuff. There's no question that there are some outlets and some people who choose to ignore the facts. And that's why I always say, Jerry, we're a fact-based organization. We're going to keep putting out the facts and just hope that prevails over time.
I just want everybody to know that it's from, at least from me, it's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's move on to Chief Taffy. Again, welcoming Chief Tom Taffy as who had been our acting MTA police chief, but now has been formally appointed and sworn into the role. I was thrilled to be able to be there and participate in that swearing-in ceremony with Chief Taffy's family just last week. Chief Taffy.
Thank you, Chairman. And committee members, good morning. I'm here to present the March 2025 and first quarter crime report for the MTA Police Department, where we focus mostly on Long Island Railroad and Metro North. Crime across the rail systems remains low, with 28 reported incidents in March. While it's a slight increase compared to last March, primarily due to the rise in assaults on police officers, overall crime remains down nearly 30% for the Long Island Railroad and the Metro North. Of the 28 reported incidents, only 10 actually involved commuters, with most cases related to unattended property theft. The remaining incidents involved vendors, MTA, and its employees, including, as I mentioned, 11 assaults on police officers and 1 on conductors for the month of March. Obviously, that can change, with only 28 reported crimes, 11 of them being assaults on police officers. Crimes against non-law enforcement employees have declined, but remain a concern to us. The MTA Police Department continues to enhance support for train conductors by increasing on-train patrols and strategically deploying officers to key stations. This allows us to better intercept trains where crime and quality of life are more prevalent. As you can see here, in March, officers conducted over 3,400 train patrols, representing a 10% year-to-date increase compared to 2024, with over 12,000 trains patrolled this year. Officers issued over 570 criminal summonses in March, and over 1,500 year-to-date, which is an 8% increase, and issued additionally made more than 285 arrests in March, nearly 715 for the year, which is a 77% increase. Those increases are slightly low, but they're coming on the backs of a very, very large increase over last year. And we were actually hoping summons and arrests go down, because if we get behavioral changes when it comes to fare evasion, which is most of these summonses and these arrests, we're hoping there will be less summonses issued. This is unlike the transit system, the railroad. We respond to calls for fare evasion. We don't proactively do fare evasion enforcement. So these are all based on calls. And as the calls decrease, then our summons and arrests would hopefully also decrease. Since this is the Safety Committee meeting, I think I'd like to just briefly address the efforts beyond the railroads that the MTA Police Department has done, especially in the subways and with toll and fare evasion enforcement. In the subway system, we continue to support the MTA by conducting fare evasion enforcement, end-of-line operations, and scout mental health removals. At the beginning of the year, we assigned Assistant Chief Karen Ramsey, a former NYPD executive, to lead our growing subway safety division. We've also expanded both scout and fare evasion operations. Scout operations, as you can see here, have been remarkably progressive, with a 300% increase in contacts year-to-date, a 370% increase in mental health removals, a 70% increase in aided medical removals, and a 30% increase in homeless service acceptance. Our end-of-line operations have shifted more towards addressing mental health needs. So far in 2025, our overnight mental health removals have already surpassed the 2024 year-to-date daytime scout numbers. System ejections through end-of-line operations are also up nearly 10% year-to-date. Quality of life enforcement has increased in the subway, with a 78% year-to-date rise in summonses issued. And fare evasion enforcement continues to expand, with summonses more than doubling last month and arrests are up over 70%. Turning to the bridges and the congestion relief zone operations, since launching support operations on the Throgs Neck and Right Zone Bridge in March, our officers have issued over 500 traffic summonses, with a plurality related to obstructing plates and registration violations. In the congestion relief zone, since January, officers have issued over 1,400 traffic summonses, primarily for registration and license plate violations. And as you can see here, we've seized over 90 vehicles in connection with these violations. As the MTA Police Department responsibilities expand, we remain committed to strengthening our efforts to support the MTA, not only on the rails, but now on the streets, on the bridges and tunnels, and throughout the subway system. This concludes the March 2025 Q1 Crime and Policing Report. Thank you for your time and attention.
Hey, Chief Taffy, first off, congratulations on your well-deserved promotion. Thank you for your remarks. I just want to touch on something. I want to make sure everyone heard what he said, the number of police officers being assaulted, right? I mean, just think about that. Just think about this piece of data I'm going to give, a fact. Just about 30% of all assaults in the subway system, New York City subway system, are on cops, right? Just think about how concerning and disturbing that is. And when you look at the assaults of the cops, and how and why are they occurring, the overwhelming supermajority, I'd say in the 90+ percentage, is as a result of cops engaging proactively. What do I mean by that? Stopping fare evaders, stopping people from smoking on trains, quality of life offenses. So this it shouldn't just like a statement like that, and you hear this often, shouldn't just go over people's minds. It should concern everyone in this room at the number of police officers being assaulted for doing what we're asking them to do, what we depend on them to do. And, you know, we support fully strong consequences on anyone who dares to assault a cop in their performance of duty, as well as an MTA employee. Thank you.
Just bringing it all back home, this is one of the things that Katie's role is so important in, was she goes to the DAs and makes sure that an assault on a cop, which is classified per se as a felony, sticks as a felony. So that is one of the reasons why it's super important that we have somebody like Katie who can speak to the DAs. Mr. Mack.
This all stems from disrespect for law enforcement, unfortunately. I've been around since I'm 16. That's my hobby. Katie, if you have any problem with the district attorney in Nassau, you let me know. That's number one. Also, we talk about fare evasion. I'm on the road, I guess, 15 hours a day, and I mean it. I'm going back and forth. The number of cars that have dark license plates where you can't read them, ghost plates. One fare evasion on a bridge or a tunnel equals almost 4 fare evaders on the subway. Very important that we continue to not only hit the bridges and tunnels, which I've been talking to my chair about, but it's a source of people skirting revenue that we need.
Just so everybody knows, the MTA, the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, and the MTA PD kind of led a process that has led to an all-region law enforcement collaboration on enforcing license plate issues. And, you know, the chief reported on the summonses given out by MTA PD, but the numbers are multiples when you look at everything that has been done in these joint enforcement operations with now we've got the NYPD, the sheriff's office, the state police, and now Nassau County Police as well, and other Westchester and so on. So there's a massive collaborative effort that goes at, in particular, license plate violations and chronic fare evasion on the bridges and tunnels. Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, Chief Taffy, as well as Katie. Your presentation was extremely informative, and I look forward to future presentations and information. Chief Taffy, when you were talking about the data pertaining to homeless services accepted, does that data also include activities in the commuter rail platforms?
No, the Scout is just for the subway. That's a small subsection of what the Scout unit does. There's other homeless acceptance on the rails and actually out in the outer districts as well. It's just not counted there.
Okay.
It's probably at a much lower level as well.
Gotcha. Will there be a chance for you to share that information at a later time?
Yeah.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, congratulations. Quick question. I see something, the stats on mental health, homeless. How are illegal vendors being handled in the subway system?
With in this, and I can let the NYPD chief answer most of this question. With ours, we have vendors in the hub stations where we patrol. We do quality life enforcement. As you can see, it was up 78%. Part of that is vendor enforcement as well, especially in Grand Central. This down to the 7 train is always an issue down there. So that's how we handle it, by way of quality life enforcement by the district officers and our subway safety teams as well.
Hi. Yeah, in addition, as I mentioned earlier, our activity, arrests, or summonses are up, and that includes vendor enforcement again. They're both monitored by officers that are on patrol, and as the chief mentioned too, with the cameras, if we see it in problematic locations in real time, we have officers respond and to those locations and address it, either by summonses, escorting, etc. So they are being addressed.
Okay. Mr. Glucksman.
Thank you. Congratulations again. Thank you for your interesting report. You mentioned about cooperation with Nassau County and in the area here. How about the northern and western counties and maybe even New Jersey? Are they also, their police forces and other police departments supporting our Ghost Plate initiative?
Yes, Westchester definitely. I'm actually meeting with them possibly in 2 days just to talk with the Westchester Chiefs Association to talk to them about ghost plates, as well as because our MTA officers are starting to work on the bridges and tunnels, they're all being trained in this, and now I start to hear even the transit officers, the train officers out in Westchester who are in cars, making car stops for those plates. So that it's expanding out as we train our 1,400 officers. They're all doing it everywhere in the system.
Okay, I'm going to call an end to this unless there's something really urgent, because we're really time constrained. We need to deal with the minutes. I previously tried to make a motion for the acceptance of the minutes. There were no comments or questions. We now have a quorum. All in favor of the approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposition or abstention? The minutes are approved. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Thank you, Mr. Mack, for a second. We are adjourned.